Yeah, so I think the participants have raised the hand. Is there any issue? You can just, Prasanna, can you please help? Mr. Karthik Vora has raised the hand.
Yes, yes, sure. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for taking out time. Let me come to the point directly. We all know what black box is, and today we are going to do this demonstration, and I'm going to lead this demonstration. And we have made certain preparations for the same. So what we have done is we have connected to a live black box. And this live black box is having certain example profiles already configured on that. This live black box is also connected with two or four users computer, and we are going to see the configuration of the black box on a live black box which is being used by the users. And we will also take the remote connection. We will also take the remote connection and remote connection of that particular. I think my voice is audible. I hope it is fine. Prasanna, is there any issue
Yes,
with my voice? Because
yes, sir. We can hear you, but I think Mr. Karthik has some issue. He's not able to hear, so I'm resolving that.
no problem. So, how we have planned this session is that we are going to connect to a live black box. We are going to see all the features, and then we are going to take the remote connection of the users. This will be very interesting. We are going to take the remote connection of the user's computer, and we will see how black box configuration is reflected on user's computer, and we will see what kind of restrictions, or which we will see what kind of policies are applied on the user's computer. So this is the course of today's webinar. In case you have any question, you are given a question and answer panel in which you can have your question. I will answer all the questions in the end of the session. We have kept this as a very small group because we have sent very exclusive invites so that we will be able to deal with everyone's question. It will not happen last time like 200 people attended and we could not answer all questions. So this time we are going to have all the questions attended. So I'm sharing my screen's presentation, and we will see what do we want to present in terms of the feature, and then we will directly connect to Blackbox. Directly its console. I will be assisted by my technical team led by Rajendra, Krunal, and Sushanto, who are going to show us the console as well as who are going to show us the users' computers. So I'm just sharing my screen. One moment. So Blackbox is basically our proprietary product. Cinesoft is the maker of the black box, and its flagship product brand is known as Blackbox Prime. Cinesoft, as you know, is an incubated organization of Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, CIIE. We started long back, 13 years. This company was seed funded by Government of India because we are an Indian company owning certain technology, and this particular technology is now being used by thousands of enterprises across the globe. And this is basically the brief introduction of the company, and this is basically what Blackbox is and how it has gone to this journey. Now, when we talk about black box, I always hear a question that what is black box for basically. So black box is for any enterprise which is very sensitive about its data security. Data security has two aspects. One is we have to secure the data from loss, or we have to protect the data from loss, and another is data leakage. So we have to protect the data from leakage or theft. So black box, we as we say, is an ultimate data loss, leakage, and theft prevention solution. It is data loss, leakage, and theft prevention solution. So basically, what do we mean by data? So for all the participants who are attending this particular session, I would explain that data is divided in three different types. One is your data in terms of your files. These files could be your documents, spreadsheets, ERP data, drawings, designs, as well as emails. Another part of the data is your digital assets, which is basically in terms of your ERP software applications, some operations management applications you use, CRM, what you use. And the third part of data is whatever data is derived from this ERP data and CRM data in terms of, again, MIS reports, files, business intelligence. So all this is your data, and if this data is lost, organization loses business continuity, and if this data is stolen, organization becomes competitively vulnerable. It can be exploited competitively, and it might sometimes assume the liability of breach of non-disclosure agreement it might have signed with its customers also. So certain organizations deal with designs, drawings, personal data of the customers. For them, data leakage and theft is very a serious issue. Now we will see how Blackbox deals with this data loss, leakage, and theft prevention objectives. So first of all, let me give you a small example. Let's say there is a room, and in the room there are hundreds of marbles scattered on the floor. So it is very difficult to protect those marbles from loss or theft. But if we collect all those marbles, we gather all those marbles and put it in a jar and put that jar in a corner of the room, it is far easier to protect them from loss and theft. Our approach to data loss, leakage, and theft prevention is the same. We believe in centralization. Just like when marbles are scattered on the floor, it is difficult to protect. Similarly, if data is scattered on multiple computers, desktops, laptops, then it is difficult to protect it from loss, leakage, and theft. So our approach to achieve the objectives of data loss, leakage, and theft prevention is centralization. Now we call it forced centralization. Why we call it forced centralization? In order to explain, I will give you another example. Like in India, we all have come across this, it is part of our life. When we are crossing any traffic signal, the meaning of green, red, and yellow light is different depending on the whether the police is present on the traffic signal or not. If police is not present on the traffic signal, red light doesn't mean anything and people jump the signal. Similarly, when we talk about data centralization, when we want to centralize the data, we normally put file server or NAS device, to centralize the data. And we have to advise all the users to save the data on the network folders of the file server or the NAS device. And that is how we try to achieve the centralization. But that centralization is not forced centralization. We call it democratic centralization. So it depends on the user's discretion to save the data on the file server or NAS device, which is a central storage, or on his individual computer. If they keep saving data on their individual computer, data never gets centralized. So data remains scattered just like those marbles scattered on the floor, and it is very difficult to prevent loss, leakage, and theft of that data. So here our approach is forced data centralization. Means Blackbox acts as a central storage device. Blackbox has ample of storage on itself, 4 terabyte, 8 terabyte, 32 terabyte, 64 terabyte, whichever way you want. And that particular data is always stored on the Blackbox. And Blackbox has one software agent which is installed on every computer, laptop, desktop, Windows based computer, laptop, desktop, and it controls the save dialog box and the file browser of that particular computer, and it does not allow user to save the data anywhere else other than where the management or the IT strategist has decided to, for that user to save the data. So if, let's say, if I am an accounts guy and I am sharing folders like accounts, MIS, billing, GST, taxation with my colleagues, and if I am supposed to save all my data in those folders relevantly, I will be forced to save data in those folders relevantly. I will not be able to save data anywhere other than this place. So this is the first thing which we call it as forced data centralization, and it makes sure that data is not scattered on different computers. Data is always there at the central location, and this is our approach to data centralization and our approach to data loss, leakage, and theft prevention, and that is how we make it simpler to prevent data from loss and leakage. So now, once we do this, we also need as an enterprise to control the environment of the computer which is used by the user. So let's say, for example, if we want user to work on certain applications only, if we want user not to be the administrator of this system, we have to control that. And for that purpose, we need to access a lot of other things, like we need to access a file server, domain controller. We don't need any of this. Now we will see how it works on the console. So I request my colleague to go to the Blackbox console, and we will see how it happens on the console. Yeah, so this is the console. I request all the people to mute themselves. I think we are listening to background noises, please. So basically, this is the console of the black box. It is virtualized from the black box device. And can we go to the list of the users? So what we see here is number of computers listed over here. So these number of computers are basically the computers on which we have installed the black box agent. So whichever computer on which black box agent is installed, it is showing up here. And this is how we manage the computers centrally. We don't have to go to that computer and manage that computer. This is how we manage the computer centrally. We do not require domain controller, we do not require domain environment. Even if it is work group environment, we are okay. Even if the computer is not inside the local area network or wide area network or VPN, it is okay. All these policies will be enforced, and we will see how. So now we will take example of account executive, and we will try to see what policy we have made. So what we do here is, I want to show you how simple it is to make the policy. So now if you see here, first of all, we will decide that this account executive user should have access to which PCs. So let's say you have 30 PC, 50 PC, 100 PC in the network, and you can select which PC that particular user would be accessing. So here we have decided that he is going to access these 4 or 5 PCs. And if you see here in the computer that there are certain PCs selected, there are certain PCs not selected. That means this account executive can work on these computers, and rest of the PCs which are not selected on which agent is installed, this account executive cannot work. So one user can work on multiple computers, and multiple users can work on single computer. So once we decide on which computer or computers this account executive will work, we will decide whether this account executive will be the administrator of these systems or not. So if you see here, the administrator is not checkmarked. So this is recommended setting for all the users. We don't want users to be administrator, because if they become the administrator, they can do whatever they want. So here, as soon as you remove the tick of administration, it will make sure that user is no longer the administrator of the computer systems. Let's say you have allowed user to work on 5 systems in the office, and those 5 systems he will not be the administrator. Then we block the local resources. So this is how we have blocked the local resources, which is shown on the screen, and that is how we have made sure that user cannot save any data on the local resources. So yeah, we can go back to the previous screen. So now we have decided that this user will work on these computers. This user cannot be an administrator. This user will not have local resources of that particular computer. Then we will decide whether this user will work from a local area network or he will work from outside. So there is a VPN tab given. So when we click on that, we just have to write VPN username and password. Blackbox is also a VPN server, and the agent installed on the user's computer is also a VPN client. So here only we use username and password, and user does not need to necessarily know what username and password he has to access or what IP address he has to access for connecting to the VPN. It is all automatic and centrally managed. So if this particular user is supposed to work inside the office, we do not allow VPN. If this particular user is supposed to work inside the office as well as from home or from outside or while traveling, we can enable VPN, and he can access to Blackbox from outside also over internet. Once we decide which computer he will work, whether he will be the administrator or not, whether he will have access to local resources or not, whether he will have access to VPN or not. We will decide which set of applications this particular user should be working. So here, as soon as you click on the view rights, it will show you number of applications installed on the computers which are allowed for the user. So let's say this particular accounts executive PC, these software are installed, and in case we want to allow or disallow access to certain software, we can also manage that. So let's say we want that user should work on only Mozilla Thunderbird, user should work only on Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Tally, and some ERP or ESSL or something. We can actually select that application, and we can at micro level give access or disallow the access for that application. So now we are deciding everything for this user. Once we do this, we will decide where he will save the data. So here, if you see, we have selected black box, and that particular black box is the central storage on which this user is supposed to save his data. So this is how it makes sure that user will not be able to save data on local resource, because we have disabled the local resource, and user will be able to save data only and only on the black box. And now, where on the black box? So on the black box, there would be different departmental folders, users personal folders. So we can define which access will be given, which folders will be accessible to the user when he logs in. So here we have given him access to multiple folders, like common, which is used by all the users, then account executives personal folder, then accounts folder for his department, GST folder for his department, MIS folder for his department, so that he can collaborate with other users. So this is how we are configuring it, and believe me, this does not take more than 1 minute to configure all these things. So we will decide whether which computers, whether administrator or not, whether a VPN or not, which applications, which particular storage, central storage, and which folders on the central storage. Once we decide that, we can apply the policy, and now we will actually log on to account executive's PC, and we will find out how it looks to accounts executive. So I request my team to go to accounts executive. So this is the computer which is being used by the accounts executive. It is one of the computer which is being used by account executive. Now first we will check whether this user is administrator or not. Can we go to control panel, please? So if you see, because we have not kept this user as an administrator, he doesn't have access to system level settings. Then we will see whether agent is there or not. Can we show that? So here you will see this B black box, which is there. So agent is also installed. Now we will see which applications he has access. So he has access to Tally, ESSL, and Word, Excel kind of things. Okay. So yeah, can you close this window, please? Control panel window. Yeah, go to file browser now. So in file browser, you will not see any local resources. You will see all those black box resources, which taxation, MIS, GST, accounts, account executive, common, downloads, everything is over here, but you will not see C drive, D drive, or any local resource. Now we will try to create one file on this particular computer, and we'll try to save it at different places. Try to save it on desktop. He will not, because we have not given him local resources. Try to save it on documents. No. Try to save it on, let's say, one folder GST or MIS or whatever. Accounts, fine. Save it here. So it is saved. So now we are completely controlling whether user is the administrator or not, whether he can access it from outside or not, whether he can access, he can save the data on the central location on which folder. So everything is controlled. We have also given him the access to this LAN applications like Tally and ESSL. Can we just open that? So this Tally is directly client is loaded on his computer, and it is opening. You can open ESSL also. Yeah, can you open ESSL, please? So these are the applications which are being opened from the local computer, and he can access it. So this is something which is account executive profile, which you have seen, and he can do very little things on the computer, which are very much required by for his job to be done. Yeah, please close this now. Yeah, so this is how the device of this account executive is hardened. All his data is centralized. And let me tell you, we are not using any domain controller. We are not using any Active Directory. We are not using domain environment, because all these things become useless when user goes out of the network. Here, whether user is anywhere, network, wherever he has to follow this process. Now, let us see if this user is accessing it from outside. So his boss, account manager, is given access from outside. So now we will see the same settings on accounts manager profile, who is given access from outside. So he is, let's say, having a laptop. He's working from home, for example. So we will now take the remote connection of account manager. So this is the account manager who is not inside the office network. He is outside of the office network, and he is working from home using his home computer or his own laptop. And we'll see how things are there for him. How can he work on the company's data? So now, first of all, we'll same thing. We will check that he is not the administrator. He's not the administrator of his laptop. Yes, the agent is installed. Now we'll see what is the data accessible to him. So if you see here, he does not have any access to the data because he's outside. BLACKbox has created one secure drive in the hard drive of his laptop, one local secure drive in the hard drive of his laptop, where he can work offline also in case he wants. But now let's say he wants to work either on the data folders which are on the BLACKbox. Simple, he can go to BLACKbox agent. He can right click on that, select VPN, and connect. We can connect the VPN. Let's say we connect the VPN. So now automatically he doesn't have to give what IP he has to give or what username password he has to give for the VPN. Automatically the VPN will be connected, and as soon as the VPN is connected, all the folders assigned to him from BLACKbox will also appear on the screen. So BLACKbox is a VPN server as well as a file server. See, now if you see here, just minimize this VPN window. See, VPN is connected, so now he has got access to his local folder as well as he has access to all the folders which are accessible to him, and he can actually work on it. Can you please open one accounts folder, please? Yeah, today we created one file in or whatever. Just create, copy one or two files and copy it, paste back to his secure drive. That's it. Copy it. Now paste it to his secure drive, professional drive. Yeah, paste it. So he can very well paste it and he can work on it. And in case he disconnects the VPN, still that data is available to him. So this is how he accesses the data over VPN. Now the question is, how is he going to access his applications on his virtual? So now he is also given access to Tally. He is also given access to ESSL. So let us see how. So we just has to double click on BLACKbox AAA. BLACKbox AAA is access application anywhere. BLACKbox access to application anywhere. So as soon as he double clicks, he doesn't know what password it is, what it is. He just has to double click on it, and then BLACKbox, whatever applications we have given him access from the central server, is accessible to him. Tally Prime is loaded on Tally server, and ESSL is loaded on some other server. Both the applications are together and he can access it. Just click on Tally Prime. You see the speed. He's on VPN. So we have also minimized the bandwidth consumption, and it is a very cutting the edge technology which actually makes sure that user has a very good experience when those applications are delivered remotely. So this is he's on Tele, and he can access on Tele just like that Tele is installed in his local area network and he's sitting in the office. Go to ESSL, please. Just double click. ESSL will open this fast, and then just click on, just go to some username, whatever, I don't know. Login. See now this application is open. Just click on some tabs. It is so fast. He is on VPN working from home and it is so fast. Yeah, can we close this please? So this is how we can virtualize the application on the user's computer, as well as we can make sure that he has access to all his data to the black box, and he can also work on offline on the secure drive, and this secure drive you can also have an option to encrypt it. So in case user takes out that drive, he cannot do anything, and all the enterprise level policies are applied on here, whether he is in hotel, whether he is in home, wherever he is. All these policies will never go away because it is on the endpoint. It is not dependent on any domain controller. So this is the first part which we have seen, which is black box, how it forcefully centralizes the data. It does not allow user to save data or scatter the data, and this is how this works. Yeah, can you give the screen back to me please? So now, having understood what Blackbox does with hardening of the device, so this is we call as hardening of the device. The devices are hardened, and they cannot do what users want. They can do only what admin wants, and then we will see the data loss now. So as we told, Blackbox is data loss and leakage and theft prevention solution. So let us understand what do we mean by data loss, and we understand what are the situations in which organization might end up losing the data. So there are three situations. The first situation is deletion of the data, another is infection of the data, and third is disaster or hardware crash. These are the three only situations in which organization ends up losing the data and losing the business continuity. So Blackbox deals with all these three situations very well, and it makes sure that organization does not lose data because of deletion, because of infection, and because of disaster. Now we will see it one by one. We will first see deletion, then we will see infection, and then we will see disaster. And before we start that, I would like to run a poll. Prasanna, can you please launch the poll? Yeah, I request you to go through these questions and just give your opinion on that. So we know about your understanding, your opinions well. Yeah, so we have got the poll results. 92% of the people think that idea of forced centralization solves the problem of data scatteredness on desktops and laptops, and 92% of the people think that the policies which never they would never wish to compromise are allow work from home and VPN, data security policies, policy to withdraw administrative rights, a policy to allow specific and required application to the users. All these three policies they would not like to compromise. So 92% of the people would not like to compromise with these three policies, that we allow work from home users only from VPN. We do not give administrative rights to the users, and we have to allow specific and required application only to the PC. So good to know. Majority of the people agree that this is a pain area and there is a solution to it. Now we move to the next point, which is we will see now deletion. So I request my colleague to go to accounts executive profile. So what we are going to do is here, we will log in as an account executive, and then we will actually delete the data. So right now this account executive is working on various folders. We'll pick up one department folder, let's say on 20 users are working. We will actually select all the data and then shift delete it. We will shift delete it. So as soon as the data is shift deleted, it is permanently deleted. So we delete it. So now this data is deleted. Now there are two chances. One, this data is deleted by account executive accidentally, or this data is deleted by accounts executive intentionally. So if it is deleted by account executive accidentally, of course, he is going to approach the management and IT team that he has deleted the data of all the users on the network and he wants it back. At that time, what is the option available? Option is just to find out that data from the last backup. Now, believe me, the last backup will not have the same data which is deleted, because between the backup and deletion time there would be multiple changes made by multiple users on the data. So it is always in the interest of the organization to get the same data back. So here when somebody deletes the data accidentally, it is necessity of the organization to get the same data back to maintain the business continuity and prevent the productivity loss. So in BLACKbox, there is one user, power user called recycle.bean. Can we log on to recycle.bean? There is a power user which is called recycle.bean. The credentials of these users are only with the management or the IT admin. So users don't have access to it. We'll see how we can restore it. So this is recycle.bean. We are logging in, is a power user. So as soon as we log into the recycle.bean, it will load the recycle bean. So it will load the recycle bin. Can we see the recycle bin? You will go to recycle bin. And in that recycle bin, we can identify the data. We know that that data was deleted from accounts folder. We will cut that data and we'll paste it back to the accounts folder. We know that is where all the data was deleted. And we just paste it back and all the users can access the data. It is as easy as that. In less than 30 seconds, we could get all the data deleted by the user in the same form it was deleted. We did not have to dig into the backup or anything. So this is very, very important when users delete the data. Now the situation is more complicated if the user has deleted the data intentionally. In that case, he is not going to tell anyone that he has deleted the data. In that case, some other user who needs that data would approach management or the IT team that somebody has deleted the data and he wants that data for his work. In that case, this is how you can very easily restore the data. But at the same time, you would like to know who has deleted that data, because if somebody is doing it by mischief, then you would like to catch hold of that person. So BLACKbox has that facility also. Can we open the BLACKbox console, please? So in BLACKbox, there is a console, and now we will see how we can. So there is a file modification log. Here, let's say we want to see who has deleted the data from accounts folder. So we will select accounts in the path. We have selected today's date. We will view it. So all the data which is deleted by the user is, and then select event as delete, view. So now from this particular folder, whatever data is deleted will be listed. You can export it to the Excel. It has file name, file path, and the deleter name also. This user, can you highlight this user, please? Yeah, this one. So this account executive has deleted these users. So you can find out by putting the folder path name, and you can find out who deleted the data, or you can put user's name and you can find out what files he has deleted. Can we show that? Remove path, just write accounts dot executive. No, accounts dot executive in users. Event should be delete, view. So this is how you can find out what files were deleted by accounts executive. So this is very simple, and it gives a lot of empowerment to the organization, because then people cannot take the entire organization on ride by deleting the data anonymously and enjoying the show. They cannot do this. And there are many more other things in this filter which you can explore further. So this is how the first part of data deletion is tackled, and data deletion can end up in data loss, and which can be very easily reverted by the BLACKbox, and it can also find out who deleted the data. Yeah, can you please give the screen back to me? Now we will see another situation in which data is lost, which is ransomware. Before that, I request Prasanna to run a poll, please. So can you please give your opinion on this poll? Yeah. So 62% people believe that they cannot delete the data with a lot of confidence because they don't know whether they will be able to recover it or not. And 62% of the people believe that they cannot identify the employee who has deleted the data. 38% of the people believe that they can identify the employee who deleted the data as well as they can recover the deleted data in the same form. So for this purpose, they might have deployed some solution. You don't need extra solutions for that. This is all inbuilt in the black box. Yeah, now we will move to the next part, which is ransomware. So I'm sharing my screen and I'm going to show you how black box helps the organization from the ransomware attack. So basically, when we talk about ransomware, it's a notion that we can very well prevent the ransomware by deploying firewall and antivirus. Yes, you can prevent ransomware and by firewall and antivirus, but it is not always. There is always a 0 day on which a new ransomware or virus is launched, and on that day, these firewalls and antiviruses may not be well updated with that new ransomware, and they might allow the ransomware to enter. We hear news about multinationals which are affected by the ransomware who are well equipped by the firewalls and antiviruses. At the same time, they still get affected. So plan A is always good to have firewall and antivirus. I always explain this is the way, like firewall and antivirus is like vaccine. Vaccine, when you take it, you hope that you will not catch up with the disease. Similarly, when you have a firewall or antivirus, you hope that you will not catch up with the ransomware. It will detect it and it will quarantine it. But in case ransomware has sneaked into your firewall, antivirus and entered your network, firewall or antivirus cannot help you recover the data. Similarly, when you catch up the disease, the vaccine cannot be taken to recover from the disease. You need medicine. So you need a plan B in case you are affected by ransomware. Even after providing all the possible solutions of firewall and antivirus, you need some plan B so that you can maintain your business continuity by recovering the data. So today we will see how it works. So black box as a hardware has a storage, and that storage is divided into two parts. One is primary chamber, another is hidden chamber. Primary chamber is something where all the data is there. Users data, departments data, where all the data is centralized forcefully. And primary chamber and hidden chamber are always disconnected with each other. Every day in the night time, whatever time we fix, 11 p.m., 12 p.m., it will fire one process which is called DC-DC process, which is disconnect, connect, disconnect, connect process. Now, this disconnect means, first of all, primary chamber will disconnect from the network. Then it will run a scan on itself and it will divide all the data in two different categories. One is frozen category, another is warm category. What is frozen category? Whatever data is there on the primary chamber and it is accessed by the user, but it is not modified by the user for last 180 days. You can configure this 180 days whichever way you want. Since last 180 days, whatever data is not modified by the user, it will edit lock it. It will edit lock it. And rest of the data is categorized as warm data, which is essentially the data on which users are working on day-to-day basis. Then connect part will be initiated, and before that that frozen data will be edit locked and the warm data will be versioned for today. So for today's version of the warm data will be prepared, and then connect will be initiated, means primary chamber and hidden chamber will get connected to each other, and the latest version of the warm data will be transferred to the hidden chamber. So what is contained in the hidden chamber? Latest versions of the warm data of different days. Latest version today, latest version yesterday, latest version as on day before yesterday, as on 2 days before yesterday, something like that. And you can configure 15 versions, 20 versions you want. Then disconnect happens, means primary and chamber, hidden chambers would, primary chamber and hidden chamber will get disconnected, and then connect will happen, primary chamber will reconnect to the network. Now let's say the ransomware attack happens. In that case, all your frozen data will be unaffected because it is edit locked, and rest of the data will be affected. In that case, just like recycle bin, you have another power user which is vault moderator. Now this vault moderator, what it will do, you can actually log on to hidden chamber directly using this user, and you can identify the latest version of the warm data inside the hidden chamber, and then you can move it to primary chamber back. And that is how you can maintain your business continuity after the ransomware attack with minimum downtime and data loss. So this is how BLACKbox handles it very easily, and most of the times after ransomware attack, organizations are up and running without any significant losses. So this is what we know about how BLACKbox does the ransomware. Now, we will understand the third part, which is disaster or hardware problem. So you might have a server on which your SAP data or Tele data is there. You might have laptop users whose data is stored on that secure drive of BLACKbox. So here we will see that. So what BLACKbox does is that endpoint is also an automatic backup agent. So it compresses the data, encrypts the data, and uploads it on the cloud backup or file server or BLACKbox cloud backup. Whatever you want, it can upload it there, and it will do it every 2 hours. So let's say, for example, the professional offline drive of a user which showed in account manager is backed up every 2 hours whenever he is connected to internet. BLACKbox itself is backed up on the data center. Your server can also have this particular agent installed, and that data can also, your SQL data can also be uploaded on the cloud, and that does not require any other endpoint. And after doing that, you can get all the reports, and we will see how those reports are seen. So you can get all those reports. So let's say, for example, we have configured the endpoint to take the backup of various computers, laptops, black boxes. We'll see this. So there is a dashboard, and we can actually log on to it, and we can see the status of the backup on real-time basis. So here we can see all those computers report. So like right now, 13 are success, there is one incomplete, and 5 are the errors. And it also identifies which computer for which success or which is the error. Let's say we see this particular computer, then it will show us what is the error. It is checking for upgrade. So it is also showing there are 321 MB of the data was there. Then we can see the backups of the black boxes. So here you can see demo black box, server application side, everything. 14th backed up, and we can see which folders are backed up and what data was transferred. So it can show you all that data, like 454 files were copied, 89 MB in this status. 24 files were copied, So you can have a lot of different reports over here, and you can very well manage, and you can also know on which computer which drive is how much space is left and all that. So if we click here, it can tell us that what kind of space is left on that particular drive. So this is how this particular report shows. So if disaster happens, you will have a copy on your cloud backup. It could be Amazon, it could be Google, whatever, but this agent is compatible with the APIs of this cloud backup. And Blackbox also provides its own cloud service on which this data can go, and you can actually monitor all the things from this simple dashboard. And of course, all these reports are sent on the email to the concerned people. So in case you don't want to go to this particular portal, you will get the notifications on the email also. So this is how black box. When we talk about data loss, deletion, it has an active recycle bin in which you can recover the data as well as you can identify who deleted the data. Infection, it has primary and hidden vault workspace and time machine, so you can very well recover after a ransomware attack. And if it disaster or a hardware crash or anything, you can get your data from off the premise backup, which Blackbox takes and reports the status also. Now we will focus on data theft. So before we do that, I request Prasanna to launch a poll, please. So 85% of the people believe that they do not have plan B to recover the data after ransomware attack. Yes, this is the truth, and we need to be sensitive to it. Yeah, Prasanna, can you share another launch another poll, please? Yeah, 69 people believe that they need an off-premise backup of the laptop because they don't have it. Now we will look at the data theft part of it. So data can be stolen by the internal people over USB drive. They can copy it on a pen drive. They can attach it on the email by BCC or attachment, or they can upload it on Google Drive or that kind of storage, cloud storage. They can upload it. So now I request my team to open the console, please. So we'll see how Blackbox helps enterprises to, make sure that users are not able to steal the data. So we'll go to the policy part, first USB. So we'll select this particular user, edit. We'll go to USB part. Now, if we see here, you will see that block and block in the bottom, pen drive, CD drive read and pen drive, CD drive write is block and block. So this is giving you a flexibility of three different use cases. So first use case is which will cover majority of the users. That is, I need keyboard and mouse to be connected on USB, nothing else. So we can keep this setting block and block. So here by doing that, we are allowing majority of the users to use keyboard and mouse or such non-mass storage devices. Then for some users require to use digital signature on USB for filing the return or to verify the license of dongle out of AutoCAD and all that on the computers, or they need actually to invert the data. They need to use pen drive to invert the data. Maybe their customer or vendor is sending data on pen drive and they have to invert it for further work. Or maybe they are taking photographs of their projects and they have to invert it in the network. So in that case, they need to just read access to that particular USB. So now what happens is that when we see allow, when we write allow in the read part, then it will only allow the read of the USB. So he cannot copy back anything on the USB. He can only copy from the USB. And sometimes we require very few user, one or two users in the organization who can access USB and take the data also for business need. In that case, we can set it up as allow and we just report it. So, so when we allow that, there will be a tab which will report also. So when we allow somebody to take data on the USB, it will be reported to the designated people also, whoever we defined here. So this is how BLACKbox can control the USB in three different ways and prevent data theft. First option is have all the users, use keyboard mouse. Second option, few users can access USB dongles or digital signature, or they can invert the data only, they cannot outward the data. And third is they can outward the data, but the report happens. So this is about the USB part. Now we go to email part. Can we go to email part, please? So here, most of the enterprises use Google Suite, O365, and that kind of systems. So here we see, can we load one policy, please? Account executive policy. Some policy. Yeah. So now here we see that, no, I just load account executive policy. Yeah. So here we can see that this particular user can send emails only to blackbox.in domain, nowhere else. So he cannot send emails out. So it has a lot of possibilities. Like he can send only to certain domain names, or he can send only to the local people, or he can send emails to people without attachment, or he can send email with attachment, but certain attachments can only be sent. Or he can send email but he cannot send blind carbon copy, or he can send emails but it will go out only if it is approved by the supervisor, or he can send email but the copy of that email will be received by the supervisors all the time, or a report on his email activity daily will be received by the supervisors all the time. So this is how BLACKbox can empower the organization to control its email system so that it does not get misused for data theft. So this is about the email part. Now third is internet, which is the most difficult part. So let's say go to internet, please. So let's say user can upload the data on internet, and you cannot deny access to internet to the user because internet is a resource. That is how users work. So we have solved it at two different levels. The first level is, and this is all applicable on laptops also, which are not in the office. So we have solved it at a two different levels. One, one is we will have a minimum required internet for that particular user. So let's say if we have a web filter, can we load one web filter, please? So let's say minimum required internet for that particular user. So for this particular user, we have this much minimum required internet. which he is supposed to use. So only those sites can be opened by this particular user. Now let us understand what could be the problem. Can we go to the user system now with this policy? We want to show the happy hours. So we'll now log on to the user system and we'll understand what is the problem with this kind of policy. So when we allow user to access certain websites only, in that case, what happens? Let's say we go to project engineer profile. Now this project engineer has so many folders to access. Can we have access to all the folders, please? So he is outside and he's working on this through VPN. So his USB is also controlled. His emails are also controlled. Now we'll see how we control his internet. So we will connect the data by VPN. So as soon as we connect the data by VPN, he's outside. He will have access to all the data of the black box. We'll see how. Can we go to file browser, please, after this is connected? File browser. So as soon as the VPN is connected, all the drives are loaded over here. Just see this. Now let's see what he can do with the internet, with all this data accessible to him. Because there is always a possibility that he can upload the data on the Google Drive. So go to hdfcbank.com. So he goes to HDFC Bank, it will open, go to gst.gov.in, let's say, for example, if it is allowed. Yeah, he can do that. Go to dropbox.com. It will not open because it is not allowed. So he cannot open anything other than what minimum is allowed. Now, let's say, for example, this project engineer wants to do some research and he wants to go to visit 10-15 websites, or let's say he is getting a call from a customer that the customer has uploaded something on Dropbox which he's supposed to download that drawing and then work on it. What he can do, then he has to go to every now and then he has to go to the admin and request for the allow permission of visiting that particular website. It is not possible because admin is not interested in allowing that because he is concerned about the data theft. As soon as he gives Dropbox access to the user, that user can also upload the data on the Dropbox. So here we have very smartly solved it. We have given something called happy hours in the endpoint. So let's say he goes to happy hours and activates that happy hours. So as soon as he activates the happy hours, what happens? There are two things happening. One, all the internet restrictions on him are removed. Means he can access anything. Before happy hours, outside of the happy hours, he could access only the websites which are allowed to him by the users. Inside the happy hours, he cannot access, he can access anything, whatever he wants, he can access. Yeah, screen got blank. No, yeah, I think there was some internet issue. And what happens? Just minimize this window. So now he's in happy hours and we will go to the browser now. Now let's see what he can do with the internet. Go to Dropbox now. So he can open Dropbox. Now let's see what access of his data he is having. Just go to the file browser, please. In the file browser, if you see all those drives are unmounted. He can only have access to his downloads folder. So whatever he wants to download, he can download. It could be a customer's file or it could be some research work he has done. Whatever he has to download, he can download, but he cannot upload anything. Now let's say all his work is over. He can again go out of the happy hours. Just he can click on that and just disable the happy hours. So as soon as the happy hours are disabled, all the files, all internet restrictions will apply again, and all the folders will be remounted. So he can remount all the folders, and then he can work on the data which he has downloaded. So the data he downloads, it will remain
Screen
with.
is blank again, sir. Sorry to disturb.
Yeah, I think there's some internet problem with Krunal. Yeah, now it is there. So whatever, now his all the data will be accessible. See, go to this PC. So now you see the download is also accessible, and some network drive is also there. Once can you go to VPN to load this network drive? So this is how happy hours work. So it is like one, yeah, I think this is okay. Okay, I think we are running out of time. Can we go to the playback office, please? Meanwhile, I'll explain. So happy hours is like a room. One room opens to internet, another room opens to data. When we open the door to internet, the door to the data is locked, and when we open door to the data, the door to the internet is locked. So a user cannot access it simultaneously. With data he has limited internet access, and without data he has unlimited internet access. So this is the another thing how we can prevent data theft on internet by the users. It could be work from home users, whoever. And then we will now see this particular feature. It is for productivity monitoring. We can go to admin login. So this is a playback office. So for the users for which we have enabled this particular system, we can actually we can enable this kind of system. It will capture the screen every 1 minute or 30 seconds, and it will upload it on the black box, which you can play it back. So you can play back something which is what was the activity on the user's computer last week on Friday between 2 to 4. You can actually play it back. So let's play back today's activity for this user. Today 15, yeah, today's activity. View records. 4 to 5 is the, sorry, 3 to 4 was the session. Now, if you see here, just see these screens are captured. The black ones are the ones when we were seeing the consoles. So these were the users screens. So you can actually have the screens. You can analyze it for any productivity issue or any other issue. So basically, what Blackbox is doing, it is forcefully centralizing the data. Yeah, you can give the screen back to me. So what Blackbox is doing, it can actually forcefully centralize the data. It can apply the hardening policy on the users, and you don't need any Microsoft licenses or anything, server licenses, client access licensing, nothing. It can virtualize your applications also without terminal server license, without deploying a terminal server for remote desktop. It can also make sure that your users cannot delete the data, and if they delete the data, you can recover it and you can find out who has deleted the data. It can also make sure that ransomware, if attack happens, you can very well recover your data in due time. It will also make sure that if there is a disaster, you can recover the data from the off-premise backup if you have configured. It can also protect the organization from any data theft attempt by the user over USB, email attachment, or internet. And also you can monitor the activities of the user. So this is what entire black box is. If you own the black box, you have complete enterprise level environment, software environment in your company, so that you can make sure that your data is not lost, leaked, or stolen. So this is all about it. Can we start the question answer, Prasanna?
Yeah, yes, everyone can post the question and answers now.
I think there is a question from Mr. Sanjay Rawat. We can minimize the internet. Yes, you can restrict the internet to number of websites. You can minimize the internet during the without the happy hours also. So while data is available, you can have minimum access to internet, just like we had access to GST and HDFC. At that time, the internet was available. Your question is also that it works with domain controller and firewall as domain controller and firewall level. Yes, it works as a domain controller and a firewall level. Yes, it is a proxy server also. Mr. Vora is asking, what about TCO? Can you please elaborate what is that? Yeah, Mr. Vora, can you just elaborate what do you mean by TCO so that we can answer this question? Okay. This box is basically into is built in different models. So 12 user model, 20 user model, then 40 user model, 70 user, 90 user, 150 user model. So accordingly, the cost works out. Prasanna, can you please note down? We can help Mr. Vora offline on the costing part. Normally, I'll tell you, if you
Yes,
take
sir.
black box, if you invest black box in 5 years horizon, it costs you hardly 200 rupees per user per month. That's it. Yeah, Mr. Rawat is asking, then we do not need to keep physical firewall. See, we don't say that you do not keep physical firewall. See, firewall can protect you from outside attack. Okay, so there are two types of attack. One attack is or data theft attack or any attack is from outside. So firewall is a recommended device. Black box majorly protects you from internal users. It protects you from internal users. So basically, you should have firewall. We don't say that you should not have firewall. And what is the minimum costing per user? I think it is around 200 rupees per user per month. But of course, it's a capex. Then Mr. Vora is asking, is it a cloud-based solution? See, Blackbox is a hardware device which you can put in the data center. So Synersoft has its own data centers. When you put your Blackbox in the data center, you can have your private cloud built around your infrastructure. So if you put Blackbox on the data center, it is a private cloud. So you can say that it is a cloud-based solution, but it's a private cloud-based solution. Yeah, any other question? Blackbox take user from AD? Yes, Blackbox can take the users from AD. Can we have a brochure for the features? Yes, Prasanna, can you please write it down?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, any more questions from the audience, please? Which OS, Mr. Shah is asking which OS it supports. So, see, on the hardware side, Blackbox has its own proprietary firmware. And on the client side, where the agent is installed, it supports Windows OS. We recommend Windows 10, but you can go for Windows 8, Windows 7 also. So it supports Windows OS. Can we increase the users afterwards? Yes, you can increase the users afterwards. Every black box comes with a range, like it is 25 to 40 users, 50 to 70 users, 100 to 150 users. So you can increase the users as you want. And in case you want number of users beyond its capacity, you can opt for an upgrade also. Another question by Mr. Shah is, do the individual nodes have minimum configurations? Yes, it should have minimum configurations like Core 2 Duo or dual core kind of computer systems and 4 GB RAM. That's it. Black box agent does not take much of the processing. It takes hardly 1% of the processing and hardly 32 MB or 64 MB of the RAM. But yes, operating system requires good. What about support activities from Blackbox? Okay, basically Synersoft has across the India, Synersoft has call centers. So you can connect to the call center, ticket is generated, and the support desk engineer would call back. This is when you take support directly from Synersoft in case you are buying the product from any of the dealer or distributor. Distributors are also equipped with black box certified security professionals who can give the support also. Synersoft gives remote support, and the support has different levels. One support is between 10 to 6 office hours, another support is 10 to 6, and other time zones, and or 24 by 7. What about training at initial stage? Yes. This particular box is not a box moving kind of thing. It's a project. So when you buy the black box is delivered, black box is implemented, and for that purpose, our advisor interacts with you for all the users. You can make the profiles of all the users. Our advisor will ask you certain questions about each user, like whether you want to allow pen drive, what kind of email restrictions you want. You can define that. It will document it, and then they will implement it on the black box, and then it will give the complete. They will give the complete training also on the black box. And in case you want to nominate any of your people for black box certified professional, for all the black box customer, the course of black box certified security professional is free of cost. You can also nominate people. Mr. Vora is asking how much we will be dependent on black box. See, black box is going to be center of your data, so you will depend on the black box pretty much. Then Mr. Shah is asking, does it support Windows XP? It has an old version of Blackbox which supports Windows XP, but we do not recommend because Windows XP is now very, very vulnerable. But yes, earlier days, this product is around in the market since last 13 years. So we have a version for Windows XP, but we do not recommend because Windows XP is not, now as secured as it was in its days. Yeah, does it work with Mac client? Yes, it works with Mac client, but it does not give all the features. You can take the backup of the Mac device. You can access the Mac. You can access Blackbox data on Mac, but it does not have any data loss, leakage, and theft preventions options on Mac. So Mac is a very different type of operating system, and we understand that Mac is mostly used by the leaders of the organization, and they are not subjected to any restrictions, monitoring, or vigilance, and that's why we are supporting it for Windows for all the features, and for Mac, yes, you can access data from Blackbox and you can take the backup of the Mac. Then there is another question. Then how we sync AD with Blackbox? You can sync AD with Blackbox. There is a facility. As soon as you sync it with Blackbox, in that particular console, those users will also be populated, which are created on the AD for authorization and access. Yes, your AD username and password will be used by the users to authorize. It will no longer be the native users of the black box. It will connect it with the AD and populate those settings. It is available on mobile also. Yes, it is available on mobile also. It supports Android and iOS both. And for that purpose, there is a separate solution. So you can order number of desktop, or you can order a hardware with number of desktop and laptop licenses, as well as you can order number of mobile device license also. If Blackbox is provide user creation with restriction, so it can replace AD. Yes, it can replace AD, but let me tell you, you cannot have both the policies in place. You cannot enforce the Blackbox policy as well as the AD policy. It is like marrying two women at the same time. Yeah. Any other questions? Or else Prasanna will help you on any other questions. Can we have a live demo? Yeah, this was a live demo only. This was a live demo only. In case you want this to happen again, we have a team, pre-sales team, which can do another demo for you. But this was a live demo. We connected to a black box. We connected to the live users also. But yes, we do not put black box at the premise, and we do not do that because we cannot take the data on the black box, because data footprints, we are subjected to those privacy restrictions. This was a practical scenario. I mean, what you saw was accounts and all that. It was a practical scenario. Basically, this was a practical scenario, and but yes, it is not possible to put a device and then you test it. Yes, what we do is, in case you are interested, we can actually plan a trip to a black box deployment. We can identify a customer, and you can actually visit that particular customer. You can see entire deployment. You can interact with the customer. This can be done. So that is something which is practical scenario, but we don't go to the prospect and put the black box basically. Is there different user for desktop laptop? Cost also will be different. Yes. If you want, so in laptop there is one more product which we call Duo. So sometimes what happens, you might have a user who is using his personal computer. So there are two possibilities. One is user is using company given laptop. Another user is giving his own personal laptop. So if it is a company given laptop, there is no extra charge. It is part of the black box, because black box allows one profile. But let's say in case it is not a company given laptop and user is using his own personal laptop, in that case there will be dual profile created by black box, which is one for the personal use, another for the company's use. In that case the cost will be more, because you will be giving two profiles to the users. Yeah, I think we have any questions, or we can conclude, Prasanna.
Yes, sir. On behalf of Cinesoft, I thank you all for attending the session. We actually appreciate you being here, and I really hope you have learned and enjoyed the presentation. While exiting, please do fill the survey. It gives us a feedback for our efforts, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you very much all. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.